Welcome to The Success Model, the podcast designed to activate your highest timeline, rewire your subconscious, and align you with the version of you who holds success effortlessly. I'm Natalie, your mentor in identity expansion, quantum success, and subconscious reprogramming. After building, evolving, and completely reinventing my own success, I'm here to help you do the same. This isn't about hustling harder, it's about embodying the frequency of your next level now, so the life, wealth, and freedom you desire come to you with ease. Inside each episode, you'll find activations, deep subconscious shifts, and next level strategy to unlock the most powerful, abundant, and limitless version of you. You're not here for an ordinary life. You're here to build a legacy, so let's make it happen. Subscribe now and step into your next evolution. Your future self is already waiting. Let's begin. Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. Do you know, it's only been a few days since we stopped the challenge, since the challenge ended, and it just goes to show that it literally does take 27 days of consistently doing something to instill a new habit, because I have been itching to do another episode. It just became such a fun part of my routine that I've had so many intuitive ideas to share with you that I've literally got a list for the next 4 weeks of podcast episodes. So yeah, that is proof that if you're wanting to do or wanting to have a new habit, you're wanting to change a certain behavioral pattern, do something consistently for 27 days that feels fun, that feels like you want to do it, and you know you're going to feel better for doing it, and you will be addicted to it by the end of the 27 days. The proof is there. So anyway, I am back. A little life update. I had my birthday on Monday. So I did plan on launching the app on Monday. However, turns out the universe had other plans. So it's still getting approved with Apple and Google. So that can take a few days at least. So as soon as that is live, which I'm hoping it's going to be tomorrow, but do you know what? I'm going with the flow right now. It's all good. So if you're on the wait list, I will keep you updated. I'll also update social media with the official launch date whenever I find that date out. But it forced me to just fully be present. And one of my weaknesses is to just keep going and going and going, and to not appreciate myself and to not see the efforts and like the juggling that I do to make things work that I really feel passionate about. And then I'm just like, okay, like we all do it, don't we? We're like, we strive for something, we attain it, and then we're like, right, on to the next. And that is such a bad habit to get into, because in order to be fully appreciative and connected to yourself, and then even attracting more, you've got to be in that celebratory energy and like really appreciate yourself and just give yourself that time and space and recognition to let everything sink in. And this whole process has allowed me to do that. It started on, right, let me give you a little bit of context, because it was a rocky road. So we're coming up to the full moon, and as we know, as the full moon approaches, we are made aware of our shadows, and this is a time where we get to be aware of the shadows, release the shadows, and step into a new version as the new moon cycle begins. So we also had the 4/4 portal, which was about letting go and stepping into your next self, and that coincided with me having a realization of some of my shadows, and then my cycle started as well. So I was like, right, this is my whole body being in sync with the alignment of my career and soul and everything else that's going on, and the launch of the app and my birthday. It was like this whole like portal of a weekend that we've just experienced that was such a roller coaster. So basically, I used to be such a control freak because I never felt safe trusting in others, because every time I did, I always got disappointed. And I know that was my reality because of the wounds that I was holding within. And I have a great relationship with my dad, but when we were growing up, he was such a workaholic, and we didn't spend that much quality time with him. He would just, like pay for things, and like he'd be always preoccupied and busy. So I feel like I never had that support mentally from my dad, and then that pushed me into my masculine. So I had to be hyper independent, focus on myself and support myself, and then that kind of pushed anyone out. And like, yeah, if you know, you know. So on Friday I was made aware of my shadows that was still here, well, that were still there. And it was the fact that my partner had booked a spa day for me for my birthday, and he'd booked us 2 hours of treatments each. And he told me in advance, which anyone that knows me, like, I don't do well with surprises. Like, I like to know everything, so I'm better off just either not knowing about it, or basically just don't tell me about it. So anyway, I found out about the spa day, and then I didn't really like the spa, and this is going to make me sound so bad, and this is the truth. So yeah, I didn't really like the spa because I heard a few things about it. It was too local, and yeah, I just didn't really like it. And for the amount of money that he spent on it, I was just like, oh, I mean, we could go to better spas. Anyway, I asked him if he'd mind if we could move the spa, like just literally move the value, get a refund of that, and then move it to a different spa. He was like, no, that's fine. How rude though. So anyway, I left it till last minute, and then every time I was looking for a spa that I would consider, they just were fully booked. It just wasn't working. It looked like we weren't going on my birthday, basically. So I went to the gym to clear my mind, because I was feeling all sorts of things. At this point, I didn't know that I was on my cycle, or that was coming on. So emotions are heightened, aren't they? And anyway, I'm sat in the car park of the gym, literally crying, because I'm aware of the fact that I have been so ungrateful and been such a control freak. Now it's backfired, because now I'm not going to be launching the app in the spa, which I'd planned to do. I'm going to be just, I don't know, didn't even know what I would have been doing. So I was there thinking, oh my gosh, how rude are you? Like, that's so hurtful to basically deny a surprise, deny a gift, and like just throw it back in someone's face and try and take control. So anyway, brought all of those shadows up, released them, like, you know what, I'm done with that behavior. I can see the pattern now. I can see how rude that has been, even though that was never my intention, but I'm ready to let go. So I decided that that was it. I'm ready to let go of it. And then as soon as I did that, I didn't fancy going to the gym then, so I just went for a walk after, and I felt so much better. And then on the Sunday, which was the day before we went to the spa, bearing in mind there was no availability anywhere, and we had this credit, we had to use it on spabreaks.com, because that's where Kyle had booked the spa, the initial spa. So we had this credit. Kyle is subtly pissed off at this point, but I'm so grateful for him, because he was just not giving me any crap. He was just, could tell he was pissed off, but he was just, he knew that I'd already learnt my lesson. He knew that it was hurting me more. They didn't need to add anything to it, bless him. So, yeah, there was no availability anywhere. And then because I'd had that realization, and then I'd essentially energetically stepped into my next higher self, then I was in alignment with a new spa, with opportunities, with something that was in alignment with my new aware conscious self. So anyway, I went on, found the dreamiest spa, actually better than any of the previous versions that I was attempting to book. And it was just incredible, literally incredible. We had the best day. Everything ran really smoothly. We had an amazing day together. And yeah, I just feel so grateful that it all worked out like that. But this is what happens, like when you are so aware of your patterns and you're like, no, I'm done. I can see that. I don't want to operate from that pattern anymore. I can see the wounding behind it. I can see the inner child that didn't feel safe accepting help or wanted to control and just, be hyper independent. But that no longer serves me anymore. That's not helpful for me to operate from that wounded girl anymore, because it's just going to hinder my relationship, hinder my own needs and desires out of protection for something that doesn't need protecting anymore, because I give myself what I need. I don't need like my dad or a man to validate me or to basically allow me to prove myself to them. I'm enough just for being who I am. So anyway, that's a bit of a long-winded process of what happened over the weekend, but then some more shadows have been coming up, but I'm going to work through those and then I'll share those next week. But I just really wanted to start here by saying, if you have been feeling like up and down and you're aware of some of your patterns that you don't enjoy operating from anymore, then it is just part of this full moon process. Just allow yourself to feel, allow yourself to observe, and it's all about non-judgmental observation. Do not shame yourself. Do not guilt yourself. It's so easy to fall into that trap and be like, oh my God, how have I been like this? Why would I be like this? Why would anyone want to be with me? Or all of the things. But that's victim mindset. Like we don't operate from there. We are our conscious, perfect self looking at our programmed way of being, and we're seeing it for the truth that it is. It's a protective mechanism, and we're going to get into that now. And we're ready to let go of it. So that is all your shadow is. And then as soon as you let go of it, as soon as you bring awareness to it and you let it go, then you are out of that pattern and you're into your next level. And therefore you are in alignment with the things that you want, not that you don't. And it gets to be so quick. Okay, so that brings me to the topic of today's podcast, which is, it came to me the other night. It was about the Russian doll effect. I've never seen this anywhere, and it just came to me, and it makes so much sense as a metaphor to basically explain the process of our evolution, our embodiment, and why sometimes we feel like we're stuck when actually we're just shedding. And this connects directly to the work that I do inside my mentorship and the upcoming launch of the app, which is dropping any day. And that is going to be your daily energetic anchor and self-liberation and mastery tool. But we'll get into that later. So let's get into the Russian doll theory. So picture a Russian doll, those beautifully painted wooden figures that you open one up and then it reveals another version of themselves inside, and then another and another and another. And that's basically us. So each doll represents a version of us that we've embodied and that's been formed through experiences, beliefs, survival strategies, and societal conditioning. And what made me think of this was, in quantum physics, it states that every possible version of us exists at any single moment in time. And in order to experience that version, we just have to be a vibrational match with the energetic signature of that version. And that looks like having the same thoughts, the same behaviors, the same feelings and emotions, obviously, as that character, say. And then as soon as we match that, we get to integrate that and experience that avatar reality. So then I was thinking, okay, so we know that to be true. We know that we can do that through identity shifting and obviously aligning our thoughts, behaviors, and beliefs. So what about all the versions that we have been? And then that got me thinking about, obviously, we've not just been like the 1-year-old self, the 2-year-old, the 3, and so on. We've been all those versions in between. And they're all still within us. And most people, because this is never spoken about, we get stuck because we start to feel frustrated and like shame for operating a certain way. And we start to identify with that shame and that behavior without realizing that we choose to let go of it. That is not us. That's just a conditioned way of being. That's just another Russian doll. So that's when the Russian doll theory dropped in. And I was like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense, because without a metaphor, it's so hard to imagine. So if you think about the outermost Russian doll, that's often who you think you need to be in order to survive. So confident, in control, strategic, high achieving, always on. So basically me, the version of me that wanted to cancel the spa break. Like, what the hell? But maybe that version is disconnected from the softness, the joy and creativity and presence, which is connected to our femininity, because they're operating from the wounds. They're operating from that hyper independence. So underneath that, that's the version of us who decides to dive deep into self-development, who feels that intuitive nudge to pivot their careers, who feels that intuitive nudge to listen to a podcast that's going to expand their awareness, who feels that intuitive nudge to just go somewhere different, to meet somewhere new, to cut off certain friends, to do whatever you do. That is the version of you deeper, who knew that there was more but felt frustrated when the pace didn't match the pressure. And that version is also trying to do better, but is still bound by operating from the nervous system dysregulation, perfectionism, and mental overdrive. So it gets a little bit entangled. So this is why the Russian doll theory helps, because underneath that, so there we've got two layers, haven't we? We've got the outermost, we've got the one that thinks they need to be confident and in control and strategic in order to survive. Then underneath, we've got that version who knows there's more, but still feels the pressure, feels the frustration, feels stuck because they're dysregulated and they're operating from the mind and the mental and the perfectionism tendencies and people pleasing. And then we've got deeper than that, we've got the younger versions, and these ones are the ones who learned to be small and safe. So these versions equated love with performance. They feared being judged or misunderstood. We took on identities that weren't ours just to belong. So it could even been something simple as being at the dinner table and you being so happy and so hyperactive that you have got your favourite dinner and you are shouting or you're being a little bit louder than your mum and dad could handle at that point, because they've been working all day, they're exhausted, and they say, shush, like, just stop, like, just calm down. And that shuts you down in that moment, and then it makes it not safe to speak and you feel judged. Like, this is how simple it gets to be, but the perception of us at that age that we experience that then gets to have that impression left in our energetic field that we then operate from, and then that dictates how we operate from moving forward. So each of these dolls still exist energetically. Their beliefs are still running in the background unless we choose to meet, integrate, and release them. And this is what shadow work is. I just don't really like the word shadow, but essentially it has been suppressed. It's behavior and thoughts and actions that have been unconscious. We haven't been aware of it. It's been suppressed, and one day it comes to the surface when we're ready and we're aware to acknowledge that way of being and release it. And then this is where the quantum layer to it all exists. So because if every version of us exists in the quantum field right now, then our current reality is simply a reflection of the identity that we're still embodying. So we're not blocked, we're literally just layered with loads of different frequencies. And all we have to do is clear it to align with the one that we actually want to experience. And this makes so much sense. Like, you'll see people talk about the Matrix and how life is an illusion and we're in like a video game, and like I've always kind of got it, but then haven't at the same time. So I've been like, I don't know, like life is so real. Like to speak of it like that, it sounds so insignificant. But when you look at it through the lens of the Russian doll theory and quantum physics, and then all the past versions that we've been, it is like that. It's like as soon as we align our beliefs, our energy, and our actions to that of the new avatar that we want to embody, we get to be that, we get to experience that. So, between the ages of 0 to 7, our subconscious blueprint and nervous system were formed, and this is also essentially like inner child work because that is the subconscious and nervous system. That's what we're operating from. So those early experiences shaped our relationship with success, love, expression, safety, and receiving. So then every version after that has either been trying to recreate safety or trying to escape what felt unsafe. So if we feel that we self-sabotage when things are good, if we shrink when we're seen, if we feel like our manifestations seem to almost work but then we fall flat, or that we're doing something wrong, it's literally that an earlier layer is still leading. It's that inner protector. It's not our true self, and that is what's steering the ship, because that is what creates our energetic signature. So there's 11 energetic bodies. So the main ones are the auric field, which is our energy field, and that's where we have the impressions in from our thoughts, behaviors, and emotions. We have the mental, obviously the mind, thoughts. We have the physical, stored emotions, trauma. And then we have the spiritual. And then there's different bodies outside of that, but I don't want to get into those today. So our inner child, so to speak, is the protector. And when you use parts integration, which is an NLP technique, you actually become familiar with the parts and you can see what they're protecting you from, and that each part has a use, and that part's always going to be with you, and you'll be able to see when that part's at play. And the most important thing is you have compassion and you can control that part of you. So I've got 5 parts so far that I've uncovered, and it's wild because it makes you sound like you're bipolar, but it's not. It's like we have different energies depending on different situations that we're in, and this work is all about bringing all of the energy into one, so we can allow our true self to shine and be consistent whilst seeing the place that we are intentionally operating from. So I hope that makes sense. I know this is getting a bit deep, isn't it? So one of the problems that we all experience on this journey is knowing what to do, but not actually being able to do it. And this looks like analysis paralysis. We stay stuck. We know what to do. We know where to get the resources, but nothing's happening because we don't know how to change the energetic body that we're operating from. So this is why we can understand all the concepts, but we still feel like they're not working for us, because knowledge lives in the mind, but the transformation lives in the body. So until we regulate our nervous system and integrate our layers, our actions will always default to safety, not expansion. And that's why the app Symbiotic Success is so important, for you to have a full understanding of this. So there's the subconscious mind, then you've got the clearing audios, then we've got the quantum activation morning meditation, we've also got the evening visualization track, and then we're going to add the hypnosis, breath work, and just keep plugging you with as much information as you need to get the desired results. So you've got everything to get you going for the first 3 weeks, and then every single week we are going to be intuitively adding what you need, as well as doing Q&As to answer your specific questions, which you can do anonymously or you can obviously be present. It's entirely up to you. So how do we actually evolve? First of all, we need to stop trying to become someone new and remember that we are always available. We just need to remember who the hell we've been. So the smallest, truest doll in the center, she's not someone that's far away. She's encoded in your field. She's the one you feel glimpses of when you're inspired, when you enjoy, when you're in flow, when you're laughing with your children, when you're dancing without a care. And when we start peeling back the layers, gently, lovingly, with support, we create space for clarity, space for your blueprint to rise, and space for purpose to feel natural instead of forced. And this is exactly what we do in my mentorship and soon the app, because it's not about doing more, it's about doing the right things from a regulated, aligned, and embodied place. And honestly, when you understand who you are at your core, you can only do good things in the world. Like, you can only live your best life. You can only have so much compassion for yourself and therefore others, because you see basically when you do the healing work and you understand your layers, when you encounter anyone else, you see their layers. You see where they are on their journey, and you understand that how they're being right now, that's not their true self. Say like you've had an argument with someone. That's their triggered self. That's essentially their inner child. They don't feel safe. They feel triggered. They feel attacked. They feel wounded in some way. So they're just not being their true self. And when you have awareness of this work, because you've done the work yourself, you can only have compassion for others, because you realize that we're all operating from these little children, the inner dolls that didn't feel safe, that got criticized, that wanted to feel loved and accepted and seen and heard, but were born into a world that wasn't ready to give us that. And now we get to experience everything that we came here to experience, because we know it's proven that we can change our patterns, we can change our subconscious mind and our nervous system default program and connect back to ourselves. We live in an amazing time, and if you have children, we owe it to our children to do this. It's not for the faint-hearted, but when we're together, we can make it easier. And then that impact is going to ripple out, and it's going to be all because of you. All because you decided you knew better and you were going to do better. So if this episode landed in your heart, if you feel seen for all of your layers, your frustration, your quiet desire, and you really just want to be more you, just know that I see you. I know you. I understand you. I literally am you. I get it. Like I shared at the beginning of this podcast, I'm still going through my journey of becoming even more connected back to myself, because it never ends. There's always layers to uncover. And if you think about it, if I'm 35 now, I've had 35 years of programming and conditioning and wounding and experiences and all of the things. If I've only been doing healing for the last 5 years, so to speak, or like my awareness of self for the last 5 years, I potentially have only uncovered 5 years worth, and there's still so much that I will connect with. But that's part of the process. I don't want us to look at it like it's healing. I want us to look at it like we're forever enjoying the journey of becoming who we came here to be. We're forever a masterpiece, a work of art, connecting back to ourselves, creating and building everything that we want to do and be and experience in this world. That's life. That's what we want. That's what we came here to experience. The 5 senses. Now we just need to use them. So I'm going to leave that there. Just know you don't have to do it alone. You were never meant to. We're all supposed to be helping each other. And we all have our own unique purpose in this world. And my job, I truly believe, is to help you find out your purpose, so you can impact the world in the way that you're supposed to, the way that you're designed to. So if you want to join the wait list. You can check the show notes, apply for mentorship, or literally just say hi in the DMs. I love hearing what lands for you. So until next time, remember you're not stuck. You're literally just layered, and your truth is waiting underneath. And I cannot wait to activate it within you. Bye.